Please join me in welcoming Ms. Barnes, who earned her MFA in acting from UC San Diego. So she's also an alum. Welcome, Professor Barnes.
Hello, everybody. I'm so excited to be here and also a little bit nervous as well because I have coached, as Suzanne said, and I have worked in the theater. And but I also developed the public speaking course that is taught here at UCSD, and people's number one fear is public speaking. So I'll start with that. I'm delighted to be here and also a little nervous. So I was going to start. So the dialects for the theater and for life. So accents and dialects are, we hear them all over the all over our country, all over the world. So I had planned originally, and so maybe I'll go back to my original plan. I was going to start speaking starting by saying, hello, I'm Eva Barnes, I'm delighted to be here, and to start in what's called received pronunciation, British received pronunciation, RP, British RP, which is, RP stands for received pronunciation. It's received from the Queen, so that's why RP, received pronunciation. And as Suzanne said, I have my MFA in acting from UC San Diego, where I studied with Arthur Wagner, Mary Corrigan, other wonderful faculty. Many of you know them. And we opened the Weiss Theatre in 1982, I believe, with the Three Penny Opera, with Arthur Wagner directing and Cecil Lytle as music director in 1982. So we go way back. Now, the Three Penny Opera was written by Kurt Weill. So now I will go into German. Kurt Weill, and then so I will talk about the different methods I have for teaching accents and dialects, and I will take you through some of them. But one of them is along with listening to people from that country, is to find a way in or a way in. And for German, one of my ways in is just a little phrase, yeah, yeah, yeah. So that is the way. And for British, it is right, right, sorry, sorry. So it's my little cheater's way in to a dialect, is to find a phrase, or if I start, or if a student or actor starts getting off, just to go back to that little reminder, right? So I grew up in Wisconsin, and so I'll go into a little Wisconsin. Oh yeah, that's right. So that's kind of I'm doing a little bit of a strong Wisconsin, and my way in is like, oh my God. And favorite word is bag, B-A-G. Bag. I got a bag of groceries right here. So bag as in as in BAG, and or oh, the Packers, oh my God, Packers are playing today. So again, so a little the Packers, so a little phrase. But I grew up hearing lots of different accents and dialects. My parents are immigrants from Poland, and so I grew up speaking Polish and then learned English from the kids on the street. So that I was most people that came into our home were spoke English as a second language. So I grew up hearing lots of different accents from Europe. And in the town I grew up in, Wisconsin, there were a lot of Italians. So Italiano. So there was Italian, and I coached a beautiful movie called The Big Night with. So I just went to Germany with the with with Stanley Tucci, who is really a magnificent actor, and Tony Shalhoub, and Isabella Rossellini. And now Isabella Rossellini did not need my help at all. And so that was great fun and early on in my career. So back to my, when I graduated from UCSD, I was working as an actor, and so I was acting, and then the vocal coaching work just started to come my way. With vocal coaching and then with accent and dialect coaching, and that just kind of kept growing. So my method of teaching accents, and that continued to study voice, but to find native speakers. So, well, first of all, the difference between an accent and a dialect. An accent, people who for whom English is a second language speak English with an accent. So my parents spoke with an accent. Their friends spoke with an accent. And usually, if you learn a language kind of pre-puberty, this is not scientifically proven, it's just from my observations of the past 30 plus years, that if somebody learns another language, like after age 14 or 15, there will always be a little bit of a hint of something. The older you are when you learn a language, the more of an accent you will have. Uh, I don't know if you can hear, there's a blower outside, of course, so it's like going, so I apologize. So, uh, people for whom English or whatever is a second language, you will have an accent when you speak that language. And a dialect is a dialect of uh, different dialects of English, for example. All over our country, there are different dialects, including, what I was doing was a British dialect because it's a dialect of English, and English is my native tongue. So I will now talk a little bit about my method of teaching, and then talk to you, uh, take you through it if I can keep my concentration with the blower that is outside. So first of all, I find the melody, the rhythm, and the placement first, so that each language has its own melody and its rhythm and placement. So when I'm going from an American accent to a British accent, the placement of it's driving me a little crazy with the blowing. I'm gonna go into another room. I'm so sorry.
Eva, we don't hear it at all.
You don't hear it? Okay. All
Not at
right.
all.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Suzanne. Okay, so
you
it'll just
bet.
drive me a little crazy, but hopefully not you. So the rhythm, melody, and placement. And so, we'll think about the British, the different British dialects. And that placement is much more forward than an American placement. So an American placement is kind of in the middle of the mouth. And when the British dialects, one way that I help actors or students to bring the sound forward is to hum, to go and to kind of hum into your hands, or even have your head drop, so that the sound will start coming forward more into the mask, into the facial. So now, like, into my mask and into my nose, and just much more. So humming really helps to bring it more forward, and the American accent is just a little farther back. So I'm going to play a few clips for you. So American act, it's just not that as forward. All these resonators of the cheekbones, of the nose, of the teeth, much more forward. So that's one of the things that I listen to, because I found, when I watch films, there, like if an accent or dialect is authentic, it has everything. It has that placement, it has the melody, it has the rhythm, and and the sounds, of course. And if one of those things is a little bit off, then you might think, it's a little off. What is it? Oh, so if I did a British accent, so I'm doing the sounds of a British dialect, but the placement is, I'm still having that American placement in the middle of my mouth, rather than that more forward placement, right? That is much more here rather than here. So, and the tricky thing for Americans doing a British, dialects of the British Isles, is that when we get this forward placement, sometimes the pitch goes up. And that just drives Brits crazy when they hear, it's like, we don't speak here, we speak here, we speak here. So that to keep the roots in chest, so you have everything going, but you have this mask resonance. Right. So back to Eva Barnes, Eva Vielgat Barnes. So I am going to find, so how I usually, so we'll do a share screen. I usually start with playing some clips and then asking my students to hear what pops out for them. And if I'm coaching in a professional show, then usually I have like half an hour or 45 minutes with the acting company. So then I just kind of mostly tell them what it is, because it's a faster process. And for the students, I want them to have a little bit more of a discovery process, and so that they learn how to do their own legwork. I said, so that they can do their own legwork, they don't have to rely on commercial dialect tapes, that they can be their own dialect coach. And then the other bonus is that I tell them that after they do all of their own legwork, they can call me for a one-on-one tutorial, free, until they get that big television or film job. Okay, so I'm going to do a share screen. And, well, let's do this first. Let's see, this is the one I want. Oh, come on. Oh, no. So do you see placement forward? That's not the one I want.
We see your text slide, yes, placement, resonance.
Yes, that's what I'm scrolling through. Okay, what I wanted to share first was the blank sheet. This one. This is the one I wanted to share. Do you see this one now? That's just this one blank, with blank dialect. Okay, good. Thanks. All right. So, if I'm working with professional actors, they don't get the blank sheet. They get the one that's all filled out. But my students get this sheet that has the front vowels. And the front vowels are vowels where the front of the tongue is arched. The back vowels, woo, like if you take an ooh sound, the back of the tongue is arched. And if you take e, so they've learned all this, like in their first quarter of speech, they've learned all these different sounds. And then, so front vowels, back vowels, diphthongs. Diphthongs are two sounds that happen so quickly they're perceived as one. So pay, my, and these are the phonetic symbols. Boy, go, now. I'm going to go back here. So this is like the first quarter, which is really fast. So we have the E, the front vowels. E, this is the, just kind of the dictionary column. These are the words. And this is the IPA symbols, International Phonetic Alphabet. So the front vowels, li, will, and then I added this one because this final sound changes. Happy, like a Brit will say happy, lovely, pretty, with an I, an American will go happy, pretty, lovely. So this final, it can be an E or an I. And then short let, 10, I added 10 because when the S sound is followed by a nasal consonant, it sometimes shifts, especially in the southern dialects, right? 10 can go to tin, tin min. I sent 10 men over, so tin. And so I have for just plain let, ever, have 10 or tin, and then pat, the short ass sound, pat, hand. I didn't plan on going through this, but maybe I hope this is interesting. So because this is the sheet of all the sounds that change. So here's the pat, just plain and then hand. Again, this has a nasal consonant after, so that shifts in, especially in our southern dialects. So pat, hand, may go to pat, hand, hand, and it's got a little goes a little bit to has a little, the sound shifts a little. It's got a little nasal, and same thing with hang, with the followed by ng. So it can go to hang, sang, and then here's pass, which in American accent it will be pat, hand, pass. When you go to the accents of the British Isles or many European dialects of the British Isles, it'll be pass, or many other accents, because the s sound is particularly per, Europeans would go pass. Please, if I'm going to Polish or Slavic, please pass the vodka, would say. Please. Okay, and then the back vowels are the oo, cheeks sink, causing the lips to round. Who, would, short o, obey, and then this is the all sound, all. Short o, honest, hot, forgot, honest, and in many, many American dialects, this short o, I forgot, goes to ah. I forgot. Oh, it's hot. So the Brits still keep that. It's hot. My father, I went, I don't know, it was hot today, father. Okay. And diphthongs, two sounds that are perceived as one. Pay, we think of it as the A sound, but it's pay. And then the I diphthong, which we think is the I sound, goes my. Two sounds that are perceived as one because they happen so quickly. Pay. And this little squiggle thing means this is the weaker element of the diphthong. Pay, my, and then boy, go. So you come off of that second part. It's not bay, go, unless you're a foreign speaker. You might say pay, pay, right? But like the American dialect, pay, and the Brits too. My, boy, go. So this little, you just come off of it. Now. So this is the stronger element, and then the second element lifts off. I have to tell you, I wasn't planning on doing all this, all the IPA part, but hopefully it's interesting. Mid vowel, sorry?
Very interesting.
Okay, good. I was going to dive right into, but so this, you're getting the first quarter of speech work. I don't get into dialect, accent, and dialect work with the MFA actors until they're in their second year of training. So you're now in your first year of training with learning all the phonetic sounds. And I actually, just a little sidebar, I tell the students, wherever you grew up, that is your home dialect. That's the correct way to speak. I don't want to change the way you speak. I just want you to have options as an actor so that you can do whatever whatever accent or that dialect you need for an audition and then for a role. All right, so here's the sound, mid-vowel. It's called mid-vowel because the middle of the tongue has a little arch. Stir, murder, firm. And then this is schwa. The many. Schwa is just like what many unaccented syllables become. Like if I say my name, Eva. So the first one is and then the v. It's like, what is it? I don't know. It's schwa. Eva. Hippopotamus. So hi and then p and then pa and then t mus. So schwa is just like h. It's like just or like It's just like what vowel is it? We don't know. It's schwa. And then sister, this is like the sound, which is schwa with a little bit of this little thing means R coloring. Sister, it's just a little hint of R. And the Brits, of course, they drop that. It'd be sister, mother, father. So you wouldn't have that little baby R there. The short U, cup, this is the phonetic symbol. Much, so the short U. And then there are a lot of words that are spelled with an O, but that have the cup vowel. So cup, has the U. But then like here, all of these, love, sun. So for a foreign speaker, this is really tricky, right? Why isn't it love, sun, money, right? Why is it love, sun, money? Right? So you get hints as to why foreign speakers, some of their sound changes. It's spelled with an O, but it's pronounced with a short U. How the heck do you, learn this? So I love my son. He's making lots of money, right? Right? Rather than I love my son. He's, I don't know. So that's a tricky sound. Diphthongs of R. So we had the plain diphthongs, here's the diphthongs of R. So this would be like a Brit, here, right? Because there's no R coloring. An American would put that little baby R on. Here, there, poor. So again, the first element is stronger, the second element is weaker. Here, there, poor, or, car. And then, like if you're like in Dallas, here, there. So I'd put like a bigger R there. Here, there, poor. My mother found it poor. My mother was in the car, right? So that's strong R. So that this R changes in dialects across the U.S. and across the British Isles. And if we did accents, foreign speakers too, depending if they trill their R, this R might be trilled, rich, here, there, poor, you might have like a little bit of a flutter on that R.
So even when you're training someone on a particular accent, do you give them this sheet then made out for that particular accent?
Yes, and that's where we would that's the next step. That's where we're going to.
Okay.
Yeah. Great, thank you. Great question. Because I don't give them I give the students the blank sheet, or the students with the liquid U. I give the students so back to here to oo. So there's also like a liquid, duty, students. And that liquid U fell out of American English somewhere like in the 50s and the 60s. So you may hear someone say newspaper, but everyday American speech throughout the country is now like that liquid U is gone. Newspaper, what's new? What's new? You watch movies from like the 40s and the 50s, that liquid U will be there. So sorry, I just took a little sidebar. All right, so where I start with is placement and resonance. And so these will all get filled in. Inflection, stress, rhythmic patterns, consonant sound changes. So I start with the bottom part of this sheet that I created. And then consonants, are there changes in consonants too? Like the TH sound, for example. That's an English sound. The soft one, thanks, right? Or the that's called voiceless, th, like if you go th, or th, that's the voice th, like these, those. If you put your hand on your larynx, you'll feel it vibrating on these. Breathe, and the voiceless th, like think, thank. So these shift, because that's a English sound, like think, thank you so much, thank you, right? That th sound is also kind of a weird sound for foreigners because you stick your tongue out when you say the sound, th, which is peculiar, right? You're going th. So thanks a lot. And then also use of face and articulators. You'll notice also different people from different countries use their face more or less or in different ways. So that's also uh, Americans tend to kind of be quite active in their face. Some other countries are maybe more, are not as active. I remember when I was, like in my 20s in England, I remember that, that there was not as much, like the stiff upper lip. I thought, oh, that's where that comes from. That's not the, there's not so much movement. Yeah, really. So, and yeah, so anyway, so all these things are little tells for actors if they, like if they're doing something, an accent from another country, but they still have their American face or their American body. Uh, there's also, people move their physically move in different ways in different parts of the world. All right, so then how am I doing? Time? Okay, still good. All right, and then a keyword, is saying like for me, for for the British, right, sorry, right. So that's or a phrase. Stammering sounds. Is the American stammering sound? Well, one of them is or and different. If you're doing a dialect, British, it's like more, usually more, and it's not, so those things also are like little tells. So here I'm doing the American stammering sound, and then other images and ideas. So, and then weigh in. What's the phrase that helps you get there? All right, stop share here. And then I'm gonna give you like a teaser of, do you see this? Did I click? Does everybody see it?
No, we just see you.
You just see me. All right, I'm gonna try again. Wait, because I have to do share screen.
Yes.
I know this. I taught on Zoom all last year. I just retired. Okay, so this is, let's see if this is the correct one. Share. So then this is all filled out now. So, but first of all, and then these are the sound. This is not the one I wanted. Oh yes, it's all right. All right, so I'm making you dizzy here, but I'm going to start with, so this is the one that's filled out. But even when I'm working with actors, I don't start with the one that's filled out because I want them to start listening first. So I'm going to stop share. So I play clips, and it used to be trickier. Now it's so easy because there's so many, share screen, there's so many clips you can find very easily on YouTube. But first, if I go here, if I go to international dialects, do you see international dialects? Or do you only see do you see this? Yes?
Biographical information, age, 50s.
Yes.
Yes.
So there's this fabulous website called, so you can Google it, IDEA. It stands for International Dialects of English Archive. Archive. And there are dialects from all over the world. So any with many different clips. So this one, so I'm going to start with this, and then I will play some clips from the King's Speech. And this is England 1. So it gives you a little information about this fellow, age 50, date of birth, place of birth, because I'm going to go through the British RP that I started with. And so I'm going to play this. So if you are curious or want to play around with this idea, International Dialects of English Archives is really terrific. Okay, so here we go. So click.
This recording, England 1, is copyright the International Dialects of English Archive.
The Rainbow Passage. When the sunlight strikes raindrops in the air, they act as a prism and form a rainbow. The rainbow is...
So at this point, I have the students and the actors, they kind of talk along with him, like every, rainbow, whatever, like every, whatever words, they talk along with him. So
is a division of white light into many beautiful colors. These take the shape of a long round arch with its path high above and its two ends apparently beyond the horizon. There is, according to legend, a boiling pot.
And this is where I would stop, because I would also then say, listen to how they sustain at commas. Boiling, sustain at commas. So listen to how he sustains. American speakers at commas usually go down. I went for a walk, I got some coffee, and then I came back home. So it's like a little bit at every comma, down, down, down. And Brits, sustain, land. So listen to that inflection pattern.
Pot of gold at one end. People look, but no one ever finds it. When a man looks for something beyond his reach, his friends say he is looking for the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. I was born in 1942 in Salt.
And then there are two things on this idea. They read a passage which has like all the different, just every sound, and then they speak. And the speaking part is much more natural, because then you hear, if you hear what someone's, when they're reading, it's, more formal.
Salisbury, England, which is southwest, and I was there because my father was in the army during the war, and Salisbury Plain is the place where all the military training went on and still does. I was educated in Sussex, which is southern England. I lived in Sussex for most of my formative years, but I was educated under the British system at boarding schools. So I spent the ages of 8 to 13 in Oxford at a cathedral school, and then I went to Canterbury, another cathedral city, for my high school years of 13 to 18. And I then went on to Cambridge, which is, although it's in East Anglia, has people from all over the country there. So although I'm familiar with the East Anglian accent.
And then there's the right, rather than
accent, I certainly don't represent it. And then, as a professional, I travel all over the world as a freelance performing singer, moving in and out of all kinds of different countries and cultures. But I think my accent probably represents what used to be called received pronunciation, which the BBC classed as that, and it's a kind of an accent fairly typical of somebody who's had a boarding school education, whose parents thought carefully liked to hear English spoken well, and so endeavoured to instill it in their offspring, something I failed to do with my own son, as a matter of fact, who's had a very similar background, but his voice is much more relaxed than mine. And my daughter, on the other hand, does speak fairly like me, although she's now living in Virginia and has picked up more American accent than I think I have. I settled in the United States in 1994, so I'm now in my 5th year teaching at the University of Kansas.
Okay.
Eva, do you consider English spoken on the BBC received what you call it, RP?
A good question. Sometimes it's there's also the posh dialect when you think of like the royals, right? So that's a little bit more upscale. And so on the BBC, there's also now there's something called Multicultural London, MLE. So there's also a little bit more contemporary London as well. So you'll hear a mix on the BBC depending on who is speaking and their age. Like he was saying, my guess is he's probably, I don't recall when he was born, but he's probably in his 60s or 70s. So he had that boarding school education, and that, someone, BBC announcer in their 30s or 40s might be not be quite as received. It might have a little bit of a more contemporary sound. Good question. Any other questions before I keep going on? Okay, great. So then I would ask the students, what popped out for you. So I would give some hints of things, like that sustaining, and then I would ask them what sounds, are pop out for them. Wait, I see something in the chat. Okay, good. And so I'm going to go back. So I close the chat. So then I would, if I were working with actors, I would then, I'd play another clip. So I'd play a female clip. So this would be like if they were doing The Importance of Being Earnest, for example, by Oscar Wilde, not a contemporary play. If they were doing coaching for a contemporary play, then I would play contemporary MLE, Multicultural London, and different speakers. So let me do share screen, and this is, so let me see, go back to this one. And so then there, I wonder, I think there's a, let me see. This is a female speaker from this idea.
This recording, England 63.
Well, district of the territory. So she was very happy to start a new job at a superb private practice in North Square near the Duke Street Tower.
And then usually I will go to her speaking rather than reading. Come on.
Sanitary mess. Ether. Her efforts were not few. Their lawyer thought it was a fair price for a cure. I was fascinated to find this site, as I've always been intrigued by accents and dialects. This may have something to do with the fact that I was born in the Far East in 1954 and led a fairly nomadic life until the age of 30, thus never putting down roots or acquiring a specific dialect of my own. My father, who was a diplomat, hailed from Cornwall, and my mother from Berkshire. Neither of them had regional dialects. I was dispatched to boarding school in Surrey, in southeast England, at the age of 11, and most of my peers were similarly rootless. For the most part...
So I'm going to stop. So she had, it's, similar things, but I'm going to play a little clip here from the King's speech. This one. Just a moment. This one. Let me do this one.
Eva, excuse me, Stephen.
Yeah.
Are you when you're sharing your screen, are you clicking the boxes that say optimize for video and audio?
No. Thank you, Stephen. Where is that? Because this is
on share screen. When you click on the screen you want to share, there should be, I can't see it because I don't have screen sharing ability right now, but on the bottom there's a box to check for video clip and something about optimize for audio. There are a couple of boxes to check on the bottom of your shared screen. If you after you click on the particular screen you want to share, the particular window you want to share.
Oh, okay. Thanks. Thanks. I wonder if yeah, okay, I will try that. Thanks. So do a stop share. Thank you. And then I go to, say that again, Stephen. Share screen. Oh, you're muted. Sorry, Stephen, you're muted.
Sorry, if you click on the window that you want to play, if you have different windows up on your desktop,
Yeah.
there should be at the bottom some indication for where you can click video and optimize for audio or something to that effect on the bottom of the share screen window.
Okay, I'll try that. Thanks. And then, so I'll play this one clip, try that, and then I'll go to, okay, so this one, on the bottom. Is it coming? So sorry. Thank you, Stephen. I wasn't able to do it, but I'll get to, I'm going to get to the back to the work at hand. All right. So then I had I had the actors talk along with it, and then I would give them this sheet and talk about the British placement, the RP versus American, or whatever dialect or accent I was working on. So the placement for Brits is forward versus Americans in the middle of the mouth. Lots of mask resonance, very resonant. Watch out that the pitch doesn't go up when you're working on that forward placement. Lots of humming, to fill up, and then this is just a way in. My nose is, my cheeks are filled with vibration, so I'm talking with this dialect, and then I have the dialect, the vibrations come forward. And then I talk about pitch, that Brits use a far greater pitch range than Americans. Words are used, so I talk about pitch, power, and pace. And pitch, Brits use a far greater pitch range than Americans. Words are pointed through inflection versus Americans who point using volume. So I might say, that's a really great shirt that you had. So that's a cool sweater, and we'll give it a little more volume. And depending on, Brits, it's a lovely day, a beautiful shirt. They'll use pitch more than volume, so to pay attention to that, and also with other accents and dialects as well. And pace, back to sort of working on the importance of being earnest, that the Brits have a certain care with words, a slowing down words that they want to lift or point. It's like lift and stretch. And unimportant words clip along quickly, kind of like I'm doing now. So unimportant words clip along quickly. So you can linger on a word or phrase that you want to point. So next time you're watching a British movie, listen for this. Listen for this pointing, this lifting, and it can lift up or it can lift down, right? But it's like, and I call those the juicy words. And Americans have a little bit more of a steady pace, and we will point something out or make something important using volume. Oh, that was really interesting. We'll give it a little juice. We'll give it a little volume. We don't use pitch as much. So Brits use pitch, power, and pace to point words. Americans mainly use power, volume. And then what I talked about the sustaining through the commas. And Americans, we kind of drop our, often, not everybody, and this is, general, but we will drop a little pitch or energy at commas. So I would tell you, sustain, sustain, sustain again. Use the words, but Brits use it in a kind of verbal fencing, with the crisper consonants. So then I'll have them do, Betty bought some butter, but she said this butter's bitter. If I put it in my batter, so we're sustaining, it will make my batter bitter. Sustain. So, and then doing a little phonetic scoring here. So she bought a bit of better butter, put it in her bitter batter, and it made her bitter, better, better. So the consonants are, especially the plosives, badaga and pataka, are just much sharper, and batter, bitter, rather than batter, bitter. Those medial T's go to D's for Americans. And then these were, so this is what I would give, because these are like the words that are the sounds that are kind of most prominent. So the aw, American, pretty much the aw, we don't drop our jaw, as we said, like aw, like I saw my daughter fall. I saw my daughter fall, right? So we just say that aw sounds. Then the ask list, all these, this sound, can't, ask, rather, chance, path, this is supposed to be afternoon. That's fallen out of American English somewhere like in the 30s or 40s. You watch old movies and they might still say, it'd be take a chance with me, darling, and we'll go to the moon, we'll fly to the moon, take a chance. So you'll hear you'll hear in the earlier movies, American movies, you'll still hear this sound. And the short O I talked about, hot, forgot, God. And then the O, home, alone, has a little O. The final I is unstressed, like merry, happy, pretty, lovely. And Americans go merry, happy, pretty. It's an E rather than I, lovely. Drop the final R, mother, father, brother. Liquid U they still have throughout the British Isles, duty, tune, and then there's some special words. Cannot, I cannot go, rather than like I cannot, I can't, or I can, but cannot. Again, been, have you been, right? So these are just some words that are a switch. Either, if you're doing Christmas Carol, Clark, nephew. All right, then I've got some little exercises here, grip top sock. And then here are the sound changes. That then this is filled out. We're getting close to out of, so I'll go through this quickly. So the E, so then I have the students, they'll, and I'm going to show you a score, that they underline or circle the operative words, the words that tell the story, the nouns and the verbs, so that the other words can clip along quickly. So you can talk along with me here if you want to or not. So Lee, is, and then here's the 20, plenty, many. Telling, this symbol means a little brighter. 10.
10.
N. Answers.
Answer.
And then back vowels, do. And then the liquid U on the Duke. This got cut off. News. Tuesday. Good. And then poetic. Here's O. And then here's the law. Law. And the short O, foster. Honest. Not. And then drama. And then here's the diphthongs for the British RP. So the second part of this diphthong is even shorter. So pay, it's like hey, this is for the RP. Time, so this hardly at all, it really is tiny. Annoy, and home goes a little bit to home, as a little baby eh. Home, home alone with Joan. Home rather than home. And then here's town. All right, and then here's the mid vowels. Stir, drop that R. Then the ER here, never. And then this cup vowel is really sharper than Americans. Cup, courage. We'll go a little bit like cup, courage. And it's much sharper, cup. This is called a triphthong. It could be like fire, flower. An American would say fire, flower, fire, flower. There's the diphthongs, fearless, bears, surely, raw, far. And then here are all the things that I talked about before, about that I went over in that other sheet. All right, and then here's a sheet of. So I'm going to stop this share, and then I'm going to show you one last share, and then we'll do a little. So this is a score that one of my students did. Oh, this is a much cleaner. Wait, I'm going to do the stop share. Share screen. This is a cleaner version of what I just showed you. And I think we're coming to the end, so I'm going to, oops, sorry. Stop share, and then we'll do a new share of this. Do you see this, that my student,
There you go.
yes, great. All right, so I have them underline the operative words because again, with British, Americans are a little bit more steady, and the Brits, this is from The Importance of Being Earnest, this is Cecily. So they underline the operative words, so they lift those words, and then put a little bit of the phonetic scoring above it. So you can talk along with me here, or just listen, whatever you prefer. So the operative words, sometimes the actor can just do the operative words to get out of the American rhythm. So, no, live here. And then it'd be, oh no, I live here. And then Cecily's next line. No, no mother. And then she should also underline the dotted any relations. So I would correct that. So, and then, oh no, I have no mother, nor in fact, there's something called the linking R, when there's an R and then the next one is a vowel, nor in fact any relations. So that's his next line. So then with operative words only, guardian, assistance, prism, task, look after. So my dear guardian, with, many Brits use the with instead of with the assistance of Miss Prism, sustain, has the arduous task of looking after me. So I probably put it like a dot in under me, looking after me. And then, yes, I am Mr. Worthing's ward. Pray do. So again, the operatives. I think that whenever, so in that RP, we still have the wh, which again fell out of American English, again in the 60s somewhere, when, where, why. So the wh, there's like a little bit of a where. Whenever one has anything unpleasant to say, one should always be quite candid. So this,
Eva,
yes, yes,
up above in the nor in fact where you said it links the R and the I.
yeah.
In French, I believe probably in Italian as well, there is la liaison, where the one word blends into the other. Does that only in British English, is that only with the R, or are there other consonants that do the la liaison, the linking?
That linking, final T, like if I said, I like my food hot and cold, right? Hot and, so you could, maybe the T, yeah. But the reason that I pointed this out was because where was it?
Up above, nor in fact.
Nor in fact any, nor in fact, yes, because for an American speaker, nor in fact, it kind of like almost lingers there. But it's a really good point about the French. Yeah, that.
Do you do French as well?
Mais oui. So, oui, so the French, that's my way in. Who's the, and, and also, with the lips, so to bring it forward, and then the accent. Yeah. So I have the way in for these different. All right, so do whenever anyone has. So I corrected this rather than has anything. Schwa has anything. Everyone has anything unpleasant to say. One should always be quite candid. So here's the instead of an it's going up to candid. Pardon, Gwendolyn. Ernest. I beg your pardon, Gwendolyn. Did you say Ernest? Right. So the operative words are underlined so that they get some kind of a little lift and stretch rather than just volume. I beg your pardon, Gwendolyn. So quite often actors will just give it more juice, right, rather than the lift up. Ernest could be up or down. And then, oh, Ernest, guardian, brother, elder brother. Oh, but that is not, so this is all the little words that happen quickly. Oh, but it is not a nice tea. It is not, Americans say it is not with a D. Oh, but it is not Mr. Ernest Worthing who is my guardian. It is his brother, his elder brother. And then going on. Sorry, say, good terms, long time. So you have that antithesis, good terms, long time. I'm sorry to say, this goes quickly, they've not been on good terms for a long time, right? So that the operative words or the juicy words come quickly. Quite sure, fact, his. Quite sure, so you could go down or up. In fact, I'm going to be his. Rattle, rattle, I call it rattle, rattle, being like quick, 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 quick stretch. And then the last part. Gwendolyn, reason, so we have the wha. Gwendolyn, reason, secret, newspaper, liquid U, sure, right, rather than sure, sure, fact, week, Ernest Worthing, I, married, might do a dotted, engaged, married, but not, okay. Dearest Gwendolyn, there is, so there's that linking R, there is no reason why I should make a secret of it to you. Our little county newspaper, right, is sure to chronicle the fact next week. Mr. Ernest Worthing and I are engaged to be married. I think she did the right thing. Engaged to be married, because there's the juicy word. All right. And then...
Lovely.
Thanks, everyone. So, questions? Any so I can do some accents right off the top of my head. Others that are trickier, then I need to, like go to the listen and then I can get in. So there's.
Can you do a Chinese accent?
No, that's one I would have to study. So if I, yeah, and with my students, I have them do so that they can be free of dialect. They research an accent of their choice, one that they grew up with, or one they think that they will be useful for them in their career, or one they've always been intrigued with, or one that they grew up with because they can do it better than anybody. So then they do all this. They find clips, they fill out that whole thing, and then they're the teacher for that day. They present they present that so that then they can be. So yeah, the ones that I grew up with, I'm really good at and could just dive into. Ones that I didn't, and then I have to, research and even get it back into my ear.
Well, this was a wonderful presentation. I'd like to open it up to others. Please, in the audience, if you have a question, we're a small enough group, go ahead and just ask it.